So being a crew member on John's car, I would always, when the timing was right, I would always ask questions about what it was like to drive and what he felt on a certain run, and just tried to always, plant the seed that I really was interested in driving, and, didn't ever think it really happened, but kind of wanted to understand what it was like driving and what he felt, and, so anytime I got a chance, I would ask questions, and, finally he sent me to Frank Hawley's school, which, by the way, is, the best. If you're interested in drag racing and you want to drive, go see Frank Hawley. He's probably the best teacher I've ever had. He understands it, he's done it, he's won championships. It's a great school, and I learned a lot. And, it was a lot of things I thought I knew, I was totally wrong, crazy. But went and got my alcohol license, and then the next weekend we were racing in Las Vegas with the funny cars, and on Monday they let me get in John's car to make 3 runs on Monday. And you want to talk about nerves. It's like, okay, this is the car John is racing with and trying to win a championship with, and the guys working on it are the guys that I've been working, on his funny car for the past 8-10 years, and if I screw that thing up and I crash it, these guys are going to hate me, and but I had the best, I had the best teachers, and truthfully, I learned a lot from Austin Coyle and Bernie, because they could show me things on the computer and I could learn from that, rather than, John keep telling me, what he thought I did right or wrong. And, the same with Gary Dencham. Gary Dencham was part of our team back then, and, being a school teacher, he really helped me out. So that first day, pretty nervous, and made 3 runs to the 330. I remember the first run I screwed the burnout up terrible, because back then we didn't use throttle stops, and I had practiced how far to push the throttle down and all that stuff, and I actually did it right. But when you're sitting behind the wheel of this thing and it revs up to do a burnout, it startles you. You think it's revving up too high, so I came off the throttle and back down and on and on. Finally I stopped and made the run to the 330, and so I went back, and Austin showed me that if you'd have just held your foot right where you had it the first time, you'd have done a perfect burnout. So the next 2 went really well, and it was kind of cool, because today we use throttle stops, and anybody can do a burnout with a throttle stop. Just push the throttle down and it'll go against a stop, and there you go. But back then it was kind of fun. You had to play with the throttle a little bit, and RPMs would go up and down, and you just kind of, do a burnout. It was more fun doing a burnout back then than it is today. But I remember getting my license in Topeka, Kansas. I was so excited because I had a radio, and they told me what I run on the radio, and I knew that was good enough for my license. And then get to the other end, John's there, and he shakes my hand, congratulations. And it was kind of, a buzzkill, because he said, this doesn't mean anything, okay? You have a license now, but this doesn't mean anything. Now we've got to go back and try to sell you to the sponsors, and that's not easy. You've never done anything, you've never raced, and so, but I'm gonna do my best. And luckily he did that. And the Auto Club, I know when he went in to speak to Tom McKernan said, well, if you think this kid can do it, then he's fine for us for a driver. We don't come to you and ask your advice on auto insurance and towing and things like that. We're not gonna, ask you what's best for a race car. If you say this guy can do it, we believe it. Page forward a few months, made more runs. A guy, Ed the Ace McCullough, told me, once I finally got my license, he's like, you need to make 100 runs as quick as you can make them. That way you'll get to kind of experience everything a little bit, and it'll be in your memory, and you've felt this, felt that, and whatever it takes, try to get 100 runs as fast as you can. And I did that, before the 2005 season started. That's exactly what I did. Go to Pomona, and the nerves. You're a brand new driver, so I think there was an odd number of entries, so I had the first run down the track, and it was going to be a single, and I you know, when I pulled out by the tower and you look in the grandstands and it's just like, oh my God, I've always dreamed of this, but I hope I don't screw this up, okay? Just nerves. And Top Fuel had ran in front of us, and the last pair of Top Fuel cars were Tony Schumacher and Doug Coletta, and Doug Coletta didn't get a time in the left lane. There was a timing malfunction. So NHRA is messing with the clocks, and it seems like I think I was sitting in the car for over an hour. It's hot in there, the seat belts are tight, and you have all this time to either kind of like relax a little bit or get more nervous. And they were working with the clocks and they thought they had them fixed, so we go up, make our run, no time. So my first official run at a national event got no time. And you know, the crew chiefs are, you know, pretty savvy. They can go back and look at it on the computer. And Jimmy Prock said back then, and you know, it was quarter mile racing, and he said that was probably a 476. You know, that's a good run for those times. And as it turned out, that probably would have been, you know, top two that first day of qualifying. Because back then we used to make one on Thursday, one on Friday, and then two on Saturday. Well, then the next day on Friday, we shake and don't make a good run, so we're not qualified. Saturday, shakes again, the first run, and we're not qualified. So now we're going down to the last qualifying run of my debut to get this thing in the show. And like I needed more nerves, right? Well, we had the best team, Jimmy Prock and the whole Auto Club team. They got me in, and we didn't make just a normal run. We made a good run. We were top half. So first round didn't go as planned. We lost first round, but it was nonetheless an eventful weekend, and you know, my career started. It was like, you know, you always dream of, you know, doing better, winning your first round at the debut, trying to win the race, but you know, we lost first round. So luckily the next race I did win first round, which was in Phoenix, and third race, Gainesville, number one qualifier, my first ever, and we didn't get the win there either. Go on to Houston, the fourth race, and number one qualifier, and I won the race, but had some big hitters, you know, along the way. In the final, I'm racing Cruz Pedregon, who's a two-time world champ, and you know, he's good. He's a guy that I grew up watching, you know, knowing this guy was, you know, he's a competitor, and luckily got the win. And I just remember, you know, it was all kind of a blur. And I remember in the shutdown area, Bernie Federley saying on the radio, "Good job, guys," because back then I was so busy learning and, you know, just trying to get the car to the other end. I didn't see wind lights on the walls, you know. I had no idea if I won until Bernie said it on the radio, and then it was just like this relief come over, and then my mind starts going to, oh my God, now I've got to get out of this thing and do an interview, which I was not prepared for. You know, I look back at some of my first interviews and it's like, wow, what was I thinking? But you know, it's one of those things that you got to learn as you go, I guess, and I'm still learning to this day. But to get my first win that quick, and you know, racing John in the semis to get to the final, I mean, that was quite a day. And having everybody, you know, back then it was Powerade, and they dumped the Powerade on at the other end. And I just remember, you know, as a crew member, you're on the starting line, okay, and you get to have a celebration on the starting line. Now you win a race as a driver, you're down there alone, okay? There's nobody, you know, with you until you get out of the car. And by the time crew members get down there, everything's kind of done. Interviews are done. So this was all new to me. I didn't know what the drivers that won races, you know, actually did. And you know, I remember getting back to the starting line was, you know, pretty cool to see Jimmy Prock for the first time, because you know, it was like, he's the guy that made this happen, him and the whole team. And you know, we we were already really, really good friends, but it just kept getting closer and closer, and we were the best of friends for quite a few years there. We went through good times and bad times together, and very, very fortunate to have him back to this day. But looking back at the first year, Ed McCulloch was right. Make 100 runs as quick as you can, and somehow I don't even know how I got through those first 100 runs. I think I was kind of just holding on, and luckily nothing major happened.